all I ever did was play football. Just loved it, everything about it.
Dominic Matteo. From his days on the pitch with Liverpool, Leeds United and beyond, Dominic's career has been nothing short of extraordinary.
The confusion started, what's going on? It felt like something was happening to me. I was diagnosed with a brain tumour.
In recent years, Dominic has bravely battled through a serious life-threatening illness, demonstrating incredible strength and resilience both on and off the field.
As soon as I got into the hospital, and this is how bad I was, I thought I was in Leeds Hospital. I was in Calderdale. Obviously I can't drive, I can't read, can't write.
Join us as we explore Dominic's inspiring journey, his triumphs, challenges and unwavering spirit that continues to define him as a true icon of the beautiful game. Before you start this episode, please can you click subscribe below and follow our social handles in the description. It's a massive help and it keeps you up to date with all the exciting announcements from the podcast. Dom, thanks very much for coming in to see us.
Absolute pleasure, great to be here.
It's been a few weeks and months in the making. We've been talking on LinkedIn of all places, eh?
Yeah, I know. I never thought it'd come from LinkedIn, but yeah. I suppose you have to explore every avenue nowadays, don't you, to get things out there.
Got to stay connected, haven't you? So it's all good, and I appreciate you coming back to us.
Pleasure.
I'll start every chat with the same question and a bit of a challenge really for you, so see if you can do it. What it will mean is it will engage the audience to understand a bit about you. I'm sure there's people listening and watching this that know about you already. There might be some stuff in there, and I know there's stuff in there that I've learnt, so I'm sure they will as well. So I'll give you a minute, maybe a minute and a half tops, just to go kind of from early life to present day in a minute and a half. And what that'll force you to do is pick out the bits that are more pertinent, more important, that stick out in your mind. And then people will kind of know a bit more, and then we can dig into a bit more detail as we go. That sound fair enough?
Fair enough.
You up for the challenge?
I'm up for it.
Fair enough.
To go.
Good stuff. Well, take it away. Here's your minute.
So, in the early part of my life, always knew it was always going to be football for me that I wanted to be involved in. Always had an opportunity to be in athletics, didn't like it because it was too lonely. Got into my football and went from there. And then as I've progressed through my life now, always wanted to be a professional, got that opportunity, and then didn't finally get to the coaching place where I wanted to be. Had a bit of a mixed life at that point, had nightclubs, bars and all that. And eventually now I found myself back working at Leeds United, so back in football where I should have probably been. Yeah. So if I take the nightclub stuff out of that, I'd have been much happier. Yeah. But, it's part of growing up. So now I'm back in where I want to be, working in the football world.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, you did that in under a minute, I think. So that wasn't too bad, was it? So that's good. So what was sort of early years, Dom, then?
Yeah. So obviously brought up in Scotland, in Dumfries. At that point, it was, I suppose, I had a really good upbringing. Mum and Dad brought me up with my brother. My brother was a bit older than me. My brother's not here anymore. God bless him. One of my best mates. He was my best mate, I suppose. Older brothers who you always look up to them. Yeah. Lost my brother 6 years ago now. He had a terrible accident and unfortunately didn't survive it. So that was a big kind of couple of years for me where I struggled, I suppose, not just mental health, of everything. Yeah. I kind of lost my way a little bit because I think I didn't realise how much I'd missed my brother. Yeah. Because I didn't see him, wasn't like, because I was busy doing stuff myself. You go and do your own thing. Yeah. And then maybe I always felt guilty I didn't spend enough time with him. Yeah. And then when he went, I found it hard for a while. And I suppose that's when maybe some of the vices can take over. You start drinking a little bit too much, or, doing things you wouldn't normally do. And I think my brother was, even though he was a bit bonkers like me, he always knew the right thing to say to me at the right time. Yeah. And I think when I lost him, like you say, it took me a while. Yeah, it was huge. I think when you lose any, when someone who's so close to you, and obviously me and my brother were both adopted. Yeah. But Vic never wanted to find out, and obviously I've been out there and found who my birth mother is. But I think first and foremost, when mum and dad brought me up in Scotland with my brother Vic, they just absolutely made me feel like it was like the best place ever. You know, obviously, when I was young, I was obviously in a foster home for 4 months.
How young?
4 months, yeah. 4 months. So yeah, I was in a foster home in Glasgow for 4 months.
Yeah.
And these are things that I've only recently found out. All this kind of information because obviously I've been searching.
Yeah, it's positive bits of online.
All positive, they're all positive bits. And yeah, I think I was just so lucky to be growing up with a family that really loved me and my brother and wanted the best for us. And I suppose that was the first move in Scotland. When my dad had quite a successful business when he was younger, growing up.
Yeah,
he was into all kinds of stuff. He had a restaurant. You know, he had fish and chip shops. He was a bit of an entrepreneur. He'd throw his hand to anything.
Yeah,
know how to make a few quid. And yeah, I think one day he just had enough, and he thought, "That's me done." He said, "I want a total change of scenery," and that's when we then moved to Liverpool.
Yeah,
and my dad got a job with Merseybus.
Okay, yeah.
And my mum was a home help in Liverpool as well, in Southport. So that was the change from Scotland to England, and I think
that's a pretty big change. I mean, what was? How old were you then?
So that was it. So I went from that till 4. I went to Dumfries when I was 4.
Yeah.
And my mum and dad obviously had decided that there was a bit of a move.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it was schools or whatever. There must have been a reason behind it. I've actually never asked them that question. But no, I've not. Probably I should.
Yeah, big move. It's
I know.
changed things for you, hasn't it? In terms of that, yeah.
But I think for me as well, because it was a move to near Liverpool, and that was mine. Obviously, I was a huge Scotland fan.
Yeah.
But then obviously when you know, I was moving towards Liverpool.
Yeah.
Liverpool was always my team.
Yeah.
Because of Dalglish.
Yeah.
It was always my team from that early age, and what my dad told me about Kenny and all that. So it was always ingrained in me.
Yeah.
That Liverpool way.
You've got an emotional connection to it, already. Especially living there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously Kenny being from Glasgow as well, and obviously where I'm from now, finding out that I'm actually from Glasgow.
Yeah.
Born in Glasgow. It's connects me even more to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that move into living into the Liverpool area, or you know, Southport. Everyone thinks Southport's posh. Not all of it, believe me.
Yeah.
But I just really enjoyed my upbringing. I had good friends straight away. Made friends pretty early. You know, when you first make that move as a young lad, you're always nervous, aren't you?
Yeah.
And it's probably harder for my brother than me because he was a bit older. But he was quite tough, so he could look after himself.
I think when you're younger, though, you kind of just... I mean, my son's just moved football team. He's gone from one local team to one that's just literally down the road because of training and different things. And he's been there a while. He's only just probably a month in, but you threw him into the first session, you know, at 8 years old, and they just talk, don't they? They're best mates from like 10 minutes on.
That's it.
But when you're a bit older, I think you overthink it.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. I think that's right. And for me, it was perfect for me to come in at that age and... You know, obviously, I think I was always so interested in football. If you see the early pictures of me as a kid, I always had a Scotland shirt on, and I always had a ball at my feet, always. And I remember seeing memories of that now, obviously, because of what I've been through as well. It's like I have flashbacks on little things like that I do remember. And I remember being at a game at Queen of the South of all clubs. That's where Dumfries is. That's the team. And I remember being in there in my pram, apparently. Because obviously I can't remember that.
Yeah.
And it was a Celtic game, so that's the first time my dad had probably took me to a game. Because obviously my dad was a staunch Celtic fan, and he went home and away.
Really?
My mum and dad. Well, he took my mum and dad to the European Cup final in 1967.
Yeah.
So they were there at that game. My dad's been to a lot of European Cup finals, and that was his thing. So yeah, I was ingrained into that world quite early.
Yeah.
And then obviously coming back from Scotland to Southport. So if you know that area, it's a beautiful place to grow up. Obviously, we didn't live in the posh street like a lot of all the footballers live.
Yeah.
I ended up living at some point.
Yeah.
It was just a normal place to grow up.
Yeah.
And I loved it, actually, because it was time for me to start my little kind of journey into that sports world, I suppose.
So were you kind of at that age, were you kind of interested in sport then, or did that start a bit later on?
That's all I did, apparently. You know, my hearing back from all I ever did was play football.
Yeah.
From such an early age, even before not before I was walking, but you know, I was that interested in it, and I just loved it. Everything about it was me. I just loved. I loved being around other young lads as young kids as well, playing, because I was tough as a young lad.
Yeah.
I didn't realise I was, but everybody said, "Bloody hell, I used to knock lumps out of other kids." Not in a bad way.
Yeah. What sort of? So when you were kind of like I don't know, still single-digit years, like 8, 9, 10 years old, same as my son.
Yeah.
And your son, obviously, 9 now.
Yeah.
What kind of player were you?
Tough.
Yeah.
I wasn't like I'm quite tough.
I've seen evidence firsthand of the challenges that you used to put in. So you used to put yourself about a bit.
Well, I think at first I probably didn't, but in them younger years, I was a lot smaller, and a lot chunkier, and I used to get wired in like you wouldn't believe, because sometimes I was small and I thought I need to get stuck into him because he's got a height advantage or some kind of advantage on me, so I've got to level that out. And I was physical, and I remember my first time I played a proper game, I did hurt the kid, and I felt really bad about it, but in a way, that's how you learn and grow up, isn't it? And the respect. I always had the respect for someone else I was playing against as a kid, a kid. But I couldn't help being physical, because I was at that point.
That's part of your game, though. I mean, I watch Freddie play now, and I mean, does your son play football?
He does, yeah. He kind of got back into it. I think the COVID didn't help and all that stuff, but I think now he's out in the street every day, and that's where you learn. That's where I learn. And that's what he's learning now. It's just
constant practice, isn't it? It's just constant enjoying it as well, like carefree, no pressure.
That's it. I mean, there is a bit of pressure because I'm his dad.
Well, yeah, he's got that. Yeah, he signed up to that.
That's the hardest thing for me is because he took a few years off it and did what he wanted to do. He's got to catch up again now.
Yeah,
but I'm the perfect person in a way to help him catch up, because I've got him back to the basics straight away.
Yeah,
and in life, if you can do the basics well, you've got a chance, whatever job it is.
Yeah.
And I always say this to him: you get good at them basics, I'll buy you the better boots, I'll buy you the better, the shirts and all that. But until you can prove to me you can do that, you ain't getting them.
Yeah.
But when you can, you'll have them, and when you deserve it, you'll get it. And that's kind of the journey I was on.
Education, isn't it?
We talked to the young kid.
Yeah.
I didn't get my Scotland shirt until I did something, or you put the hard yards, and even at a young age, you weren't just given to me on a plate. And that's what I'm trying to install into my kids, which is hard.
Yeah,
we all know that you want to give them everything.
Yeah, you want to do the best, don't you? But they also you're not necessarily doing them any favours, are you? In terms of setting them up for what life's about.
Correct, and I totally agree. And I've made that mistake with all my kids and stuff at times, just giving them and giving them and giving them and doing it. And I probably still do a bit.
Yeah,
because we do at times, you know. And it's too easy to say yes, I think, sometimes, and sometimes probably the wife is the one who'd say no. Yeah, and I'd just say yeah. And then that causes problems between me and her.
So is that is she kind of like the disciplinarian out of the two?
I'm soft. I'm soft. I'm a soft touch, especially my kids.
The kids come to you for everything. If they, I'll go speak to Dad first, and if he says no, I'll go speak to Mum.
Yeah, me and the missus have had a few conflicts over that, which is probably expected because it's like one going against the other.
Yeah, kids are not stupid either. They know how to work the relationships.
Honestly, but they've been better than what I am anyway.
Whenever I get a message from my daughter to say something like, "Can I get a lift here?" or "Is there any chance you can lend me this?" or whatever, I know she's already gone to Mum, and Mum said no.
Yeah,
because Mum will say yes over me most of the time.
Yeah,
and if I'm getting asked, I know it's already been a no has already been said.
The thing is, as much as I want to say no, I might sneak it into the account. It's been winding the wife up about this. I mean, she actually pulled me on it. We had a conversation about it. She was like, "You gave that money into that account because you can see everything on my emails and everything because she looks after that first for me." So I'm like, "Yeah, I did. I gave him an extra 20 quid." And he's like, why did you do that? You shouldn't have done that. You've gone over me. And she's right. Yeah. And I think that's what I'm trying to get better at, is not being that person, but I find it really difficult.
But everyone's different at the end of the day. You're doing it for the right reasons, for what you believe in as well.
I'm trying to, but like you say, it's a balancing act with everything, isn't it? At times I feel like I want to be in 3 places at once and I can't. Especially now, I can't drive anymore. Yeah. So it's like I want to be all over the place, and I want to see all my kids on the training field. My daughter's at athletics, Luca at football, and my daughter just in life, her journey. But it's like, I found it difficult because I can't get to see them all the time because 2 are in Cheshire and 1's with me. So it's like,
I think when you lose your license, I lost my license for a few years. Yeah. Like, when you lose it, whether it's permanently or for a bit, it's a huge, when you get it, it opens your world up. When you lose it, it's, you really have to plan everything, and it's tough. It's a tough. Tough to lose that independence, I suppose, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I lost my license totting up. Yeah. Everyone would have thought it'd be drink driving with me, but it wasn't, because I've never done that. I've never done that. That's just not my scene to do that. Yeah. But I can't believe I actually got done for speeding a few times, because I am like Miss Daisy. I don't drive fast. I never have. My mates are flying down the roads doing 150, whatever they're doing. You ain't seeing me do that. I'm sticking. I wouldn't say sticking to the speed.
It's being a bit more sensible.
I'm not daft on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's for me nowadays. I just wish I could.
Yeah.
I could drive and make things happen, but unfortunately I can't at the moment.
So what happened then when you went to Liverpool and you were playing a load of football and you were really kind of learning, applying your trade in terms of playing in the street and doing all that sort of stuff. How did you? So your pro contract started at 18, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what's the gap in between there? Did you have any spells anywhere else? Did you?
Yeah.
What was the kind of time period there like for you?
So obviously starting at 16 in Liverpool.
Yeah.
Kenny was the manager at that point, Dalglish, which is obviously my hero, which was great. Doing all the jobs around the ground. And then when you turn 18, you become a professional, pro contract. And Robbie Fowler, actually, my mate, who I obviously grew up with right the way through our careers together, he got his pro contract when he was 17.
Okay, yeah.
Because he was pretty good at that at 17. And I had to
Robbie for me. I mean, my dad's a Liverpool fan. My mum, I say my mum. She's definitely not a Liverpool fan. She didn't like football. My older brother, who's 10 years, 11 years older than me, is a avid Liverpool fan, and it was you, Fowler, different other people at the time because of games in Champions League like Shevchenko era and stuff like that, Maldini's and stuff. Yeah. That was all the posters that were around his bedroom. Yeah. I then inherited all that stuff, and Fowler was just what a player, incredible player.
I think for me as well, going in with someone at that age, but like say I'm 18, he's 17, is like what I got straight away was the confidence he had. Yeah. Which I learned probably a little bit from him as well, and from the coaches, because when you come in at that age and you're not quite you're not the finished article.
Must be pretty daunting as well at that age. I know you've been in and around the ground and doing bits and pieces for a year or so at that point, but it's a pro contract. It's one of the biggest clubs in history. Yeah, the richest history of any club. Yeah, one of the biggest clubs in the world. You're playing kind of in and around people
top level,
absolute top level people you probably idolise and stuff. I mean, what was when you got that call for that contract or whatever? However, how did that sort of play out?
I was playing a game actually. It was the North v the South, which obviously the Northerners used to absolutely annihilate the Southerners. I ain't just saying that. We did. It was always 8-9-0 to the Northerners against the Southerners. Not the Southerners are softies, but they are a bit.
Absolutely.
We used to call that. And when I played in that game, North v the South, I'd never played in one of them before. I'd heard about them. Yeah. And I think Giggsy was playing for the North. He must have been, because he was my age, Giggsy. Yeah. He played, I remember, he was just a joke. He was unreal. And that was the time that my coach, Steve Highway, he was a huge part of my development and one of the best football guys you'll ever meet. One of the best coaches, brought so many people through the ranks. You look at his CV, I think it's one of the best in football. Yeah. And I think he went to the game. I'd played really well. And he said, this is where the contract's happening. And he told me a little bit sooner than what he should have. Yeah. But I couldn't tell anyone.
Give you a bit of an inkling, so you've got to hold the info.
I had to hold the info, which was hard because obviously...
Oh, man, I bet that's the biggest moment of your life.
And especially with mum and dad and then my mates as well who I played with at that point was really difficult. And I felt bad for not sharing, but I had to hold on and wait. And I did wait. And when that news comes in that you've got the pro contract, it's...
Yeah. So how did that happen? Did I give you a ring?
Basically.
So ring the home phone, I'm guessing.
Well, obviously I was with Steve Howe on that when we were away, and basically he just said we're going to get you a contract, sort of thing. Yeah. We'll sort it out. Get back to Anfield, and we'll sort it out, because obviously we were at Anfield then. We were training. We got dressed at Anfield and then went back to the training ground. So it was kind of that. I kind of knew from that point when Steve said that to me, because Steve wasn't someone to go back on his word.
Yeah, when he said guaranteed,
that was it. Yeah, and then I think the manager then at that point was Souness. Yeah. And Souness had seen me, but not seen as much like as other coaches had seen. Obviously, he was the manager, but Graham was always around us, but I didn't see him as much. Yeah. But then he's seen me a few times play, and he must have seen something different to what else he had in that kind of age group. Yeah. And he decided to give me a contract, which was good, because at some points you do doubt yourself. Yeah. Because there's so many good young players at my age, especially in the Liverpool area. Yeah. I was like, flipping heck, how am I going to get through all this lot? And become a professional when I've got all these around me. Because there were some top players. I mean, they're all a bit bonkers, as you can imagine.
You have to be, yeah.
I think you were really versatile.
Yeah, I think it hindered me at times, but it also helped me at other points. And I think that was probably one that helped me.
Yeah.
Because I was still not sure where I was going to play.
Yeah, and I suppose you got two flips of that. You're a versatile player, so you can do a lot.
Yeah.
But then if you've not got a fixed position, are you going to excel learning how to play in that position? I suppose it's a bit like, you like Phil Jones.
Yeah. For
United, he's a very versatile, good player, but he's not really, he's not done... I know he's had injuries and different problems and stuff, but he's not really had the run that he probably maybe would have deserved, given his capabilities and stuff. But
prime example on Phil would be that, obviously, Alex Ferguson, who was one of the probably the greatest manager, apart from Jurgen, obviously.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like...
different eras, it's hard to...
Yeah, but they've obviously seen something in Phil, and they went, well, I'll tell you what...
Fergie used to rate him,
and then he kept getting the contract still.
Yeah.
So they've obviously seen something, but it just didn't quite work out. I think that's down to coaching, personally.
Yeah,
I think if he was coached better and Fergie had been around him as his actual manager for a long period of time, I think you might have seen the best of him. But sometimes the manager can be so important.
Yeah, different influences at different times. You need the luck of having the right. It's not just the talent; it's the work rate. But you've also got to have the right people around you to guide you along the way, haven't you?
Yeah, and I think with work rate as well, it's all right putting a shift in, but if you can put a shift in all day long, but if you're not actually getting better, what you're doing. I think that's happens to a lot of footballers, and I've had periods of time where I'm sitting still.
Yeah.
And you've got to try and find a way.
Are you sitting still, or are you just being quite critical of yourself, maybe?
I think it's both, both really, because if you're not critical on yourself, you can't improve. If you think it's too easy, you can't improve.
Yeah.
But luckily for me, at them age groups, when I was at Liverpool, the coaches and the staff were hard on us.
Yeah, well, you'd need that, and you'd expect that, though. From an outsider looking in, you'd think,
I liked it. There's nothing wrong with getting a bollocking or getting told off. And to be honest, I learned more from a telling off than I did from actually playing well.
Yeah.
I think that's a life thing, though, isn't it? You learn more from making your mistakes and not being very good, and learning how to figure it out yourself than just getting pats on the back all the time.
Yeah, and I think what it is, and I learned this from quite an early age, especially Liverpool, was they'll give you 2 or 3 chances to get things sorted.
Yeah.
And if you don't, you're down the road.
Yeah.
And I think I got to 1 or 2 little warnings, and then you think, oh my God, I've got to get my game together here.
Is that, when you say about warnings, is that discipline stuff, or is that just not being on it on training, or what?
On it, yeah. And these great coaches from them eras, and these lads have done everything, seen everything, been there, played and managed and coached and been the physios and done everything.
Yeah.
They know it inside out.
Yeah.
So you can't hide from these guys.
Yeah.
They can see you, and they know when you're having a bad time. Listen, they'll put an arm around you when they need to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that because they did.
Yeah.
But when you needed the rollicking, you'd get it. And I tell you what, when they give you it, it was a proper going over.
Especially when you're that age as well. Like you listen, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's I wouldn't say I cried, but there's no harm in crying, because it means you care and the passion's there, and it's someone trying to make you better.
Yeah.
I'd never cry in front of someone, but now I've learned to cry.
Yeah.
But back then it's kind of like you kind of
put
hide
the face on, don't you? Yeah.
Put a face on.
Yeah.
You might get home and God, I've got to work this out. And I did a lot of stuff on my own, trying to improve. Even though I wasn't a professional, I did go out on my own and do stuff, extra running, extra training to try and get better. But you do go through periods where it just isn't happening.
Yeah,
you've got to go back to the drawing board again and start again. And I've done that on quite a few occasions in my career.
That's where the learning and development comes from, though, isn't it?
I think so.
Strip it away and then start again. Figure it out.
Yeah, and it's like I always said from that early age as well, what I was good at, and I was apparent just to me, obviously I can only talk about myself, is I kind of learned from the coaches at an early age where to be on a football pitch.
Okay.
Positional sense was one of my strong points.
Some people have got that, even at an early age. I look at Freddie play, and you look at some of the kids and you're like, chasing, you're all congregating around the ball, and then you look at some kids they understand they need to give it the space, work into space, call for the ball, and just be available.
Yeah, and I think that's what they've seen in me. Yeah, I could do that. I didn't get flustered on the ball or stuff. Look, kids, it's like like you just mentioned. It's like
they just follow it, don't they?
They follow. Whereas I didn't. I'd try and I'd get myself in a different angle. Or move.
Yeah.
Sometimes one of the best advices as a coach, they used to always say to you, stand still.
Yeah.
And it's amazing the ball will come to you.
Yeah.
So, like, instead of running around, just stand still.
Yeah.
I think sometimes when you get them little bits of knowledge from such an amazing coaches, like, the great Ronnie Moran for me was one of the toughest coaches I ever played with, managers, but he told you how it was.
Yeah.
And that really helped me.
Sometimes those little nuggets that make such a big impact on your game and on your life as well when you speak to them. And this is again selfishly why I do the podcast, as well as other people listening and it helping them. It massively helps me as well, because I don't think there's been ever one episode I've done where I haven't walked away with a page full of notes or something from and experiences and stuff like that. And you just walk away and you are enlightened. Because you're listening to different people's journeys and views and stuff. Yeah. I think that is really important, isn't it? Yeah. So you had 366 pro games. What was the first game like? Can you remember that experience? So against City, I think.
Yeah, Man City as well, because obviously it was away at Man City, and I remember I think Ian Rush scored for Liverpool that day. And I think as well when you're playing it, when you first get into that game, and I'd love to in my debut to be at home.
Yeah.
But that came obviously later on. But I think your first game in that level it's just surreal.
Yeah. What was it like? Can you remember it?
Yeah, I can remember it. Yeah, because obviously it was the Old Main Road as well.
Yeah.
Which I loved that stadium anyway. I think the Empty-Ad as they call it now.
Yeah. I know they can't even fill the screens at the back through COVID, couldn't they?
I know. The thing
we are biased.
We have a laugh about that. Of course we do. And I suppose the Liverpool and City are the biggest probably two rivals now in the football world now. But I remember just playing that game, and I remember after about 5 minutes, what I realised straight away was how physical it was. Yeah. Especially in that era, in the early 90s.
Yeah.
It was tough. Players didn't mess about, and if you're playing against a senior player, they would let you know instantly. It felt like I felt a whack every time the ball came near me.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And I suppose I was shocked for the first few moments, and then you've got to get yourself...
Get in the game.
But it did take me a while. It took me a while.
Well, you're young. You're probably not... At that point as well, you're probably not physically...
No, it wasn't.
Like that, you're not... You haven't grown in that way. You haven't filled out, developed and stuff, and you've got people 26, 30 ploughing straight around the back of you, yeah.
And they were.
Yeah.
Believe me. And listen, and I think as well that's part of your learning.
Who's the worst person to play against in that? Who was most physical?
The most physical player. I think anyone from the Crazy Gang era.
Yeah.
That time were hard to play against.
Yeah, you watch the videos.
Vinnie Jones, brutal to play against. He smacked me enough times. I mean, I actually seen Vinnie at Ellen Road quite a bit because he comes back every now and again to do stuff, and I think he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy,
really good guy. But obviously, he just smacked you for no reason, right in the face.
Yeah.
Whether Vinny can even remember that, but it did happen.
Yeah.
I think
that was the game though at the time, though, wasn't it? You'd never get away with that now. Yeah.
Dennis Wise, for example, little fella. But I tell you what, he'd get on your last nerve every second he had a chance. He'd be nipping you, doing something to you. If you beat him, he wouldn't shake your hand.
Yeah.
So all them different characters.
Things you don't see any of that when you're watching.
No, you don't.
You don't see the character. You see what they portray.
Yeah.
You don't actually see the little bits that happen when the ball goes up that end of the field. Correct. What's going on down there?
Yeah, no, I always think as well. I learned a lot from the lads at Liverpool. Everyone would say at Liverpool, for example, Steve McMahon, for example, was a tough midfield player. But when you speak to all the lads... And he was. There's no two ways about it. Macca was tough as nails. Still is. Still knock people out now, probably. Yeah. But I think it's like there was other people, like Ronnie Whelan, for example.
Yeah.
A lad who used to give me a lift to training. Yeah. Because I couldn't drive at that point. So he, they reckon, was one of the toughest. He'd just be, nipping away at people all the way through. A bit like that, And I think you don't see it. Because they're so good at it. It's actually an art form into that.
Yeah, that's part of the game, though.
But nowadays you couldn't.
Same as I think when you go past that era, and then you've got the era where the diving and stuff starts to happen, and the play acting and stuff, which obviously no one's keen on. But you can't. But again, that was an art form.
Yeah.
It used to win you a game. Could win you a game.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Like just going off tangent slightly. Was when I was at Leeds, just for a quick example, was Harry Kewell.
Yeah. Oh, what a player he was.
He had some skills. But I remember him doing just this dive to get a penalty to win the game. I was like, you can't get away with that, surely. But obviously...
He's gone over, yeah.
But the refs bought it, you know what I mean? And I've seen it at Liverpool with Robbie Fowler, for example. I remember the one where David Seaman, obviously, I think he went to him and Robbie had a bit of a kerfuffle because... he got a penalty, Robbie.
Yeah.
And Seaman's saying, I haven't touched it. And Robbie's going, no, like this. You can see it on TV.
Yeah.
I haven't touched it.
Yeah.
And Robbie's even
still
saying...
been given, yeah.
But it's still been given. And obviously, I think we scored the goal. But it's just little things like that make a difference, don't they? You know, in the football world.
Yeah.
It's like... And I think... The clubs I played, like especially Liverpool, when we're going back to that first game against Man City, straight away, you kind of hoping it goes well.
Yeah.
Did it go as well as I thought? Probably not. I probably thought, because I was playing left midfield as well.
Yeah.
Because I played in so many positions. I felt like I'm not in the right position, but I'm sure I will get into the right position at some point.
Yeah.
So at that young age,
you're still figuring your game out.
Yeah, and you'll also. I'm happy just to be getting game time.
Yeah.
And that's how I seen it. Whether that was right or wrong, but I wasn't going to get a game at centre half at that point. I wasn't going to get a game at left back because the other players were better than me at that point. So there was an opportunity to play somewhere else.
Yeah. So with that, then, can you remember like walking out in the tunnel? Was it a nerve-wracking moment? Was it? Did you feel nervous or were you relaxed? Or
I think because you're quite young, you've got a bit about you, haven't you?
Yeah.
But I think I always looked at the senior players for that little bit of something.
Yeah.
You know, the Rushies.
Yeah.
Even though Rushy wasn't very, well, he wasn't vocal, but he was.
Yeah.
But
he's got presence now, hasn't he, and experience and respect.
I mean, Rushy's one of the greats. There's no two ways about that. I think, you know, people like that, you've got your John Barneses, you know, even people like Jamie Redknapp, they're like, you know, a couple of years older than me.
Yeah.
But good mate.
Yeah.
And obviously wanted you to do well. You know, Robbie was a huge influence, wanting you to do well because your close friends want you to do well. McManaman has always been a.
Did you feel that as added pressure, or was that added incentive?
No, that was just we all. I think when we could see someone's having a hard time, I think what Liverpool did was, and they're still brilliant at it now, is they get around people, don't they?
Yeah.
You can see it now. You can even see it with Klopp, can't you? The players get around each other.
Really strong dressing room, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. It really is. You know, if Robbo's having a bad time, someone helps out round the back, or, you know, with Virgil or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's the same when Trent on the right hand side. If he's having a bad time, you know, Matip might come in and finish, you know, and sort things out of the back. That's what I think that Liverpool were good at, even as a young player, just helping us. And sometimes it might have been a night out.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, you know, I always felt like I wouldn't ever drink. But then when you get into the football world in the early 90s, you got no choice.
Yeah.
You're going to end up having a drink.
Yeah.
But
that was just the mentality at the time, wasn't it? That's the way of the world at the time, yeah.
And I suppose when you've got that addictive personality, which I certainly have, you end up, you know, having a few beers. But that was the way back then.
Yeah.
Not for everyone.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any harm in it, mate.
Yeah.
As long as you performed on the football pitch, it's not a problem.
So who would you say you're sort of closest to from people you play with, like nowadays?
From the Liverpool start, Robbie Fowler, I'd say, still speak with Robbie now.
Yeah.
Done some stuff for him recently as well, a couple of events.
He does property now, doesn't he? Yeah, a lot of property.
Yeah. Probably a lot more.
Property guru.
Yeah. Listen, and you know what? The thing is with me, I'm always so happy for someone being successful and doing well, because I don't like them people who hate on people for doing well.
He's worked for it.
He's worked for it, and he was brilliant at what he does. And even now, you know, I think he's desperate to be. I mean, I think Robbie should be coaching at a much higher level.
Yeah.
Than where, you know, he's got so much ability to be a coach.
I think you just when you watched him, it just looked natural, like the most technical thing. It just looked natural to him. Like he would be, if he was able to play now in that way, and he had the fitness, and he was, you know, mid-20s now, he'd be an incredible player now. Even in this era, because he was 2 steps ahead of everybody else.
He was
in his mind.
He was. I mean, some of the goals he scored, ridiculous. I think Robbie was obviously my close mate growing up, and then obviously you forge friendships with other players. I mean, me and Razor Ruddock.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen him commenting on some of your stuff on like Instagram and stuff. Yeah.
Well, that you got to remember. Like, I've gone from rooming with at Liverpool, I'm trying to think who I was with at that point. I probably roomed with.
Razor's a character, isn't he?
Well, obviously I roomed with Nigel Clough. So everyone who first come in, you'd be with Cloughie or someone like that, because he was quite quiet, kept himself to himself, so he'd be a good influence on you. And then when I gone through that, ended up with Razor for a few years.
Yeah.
And that was just like a different level.
I bet, yeah.
My wife sometimes says to me, "You'd probably still be playing if you hadn't met Razor."
Yeah, because it took 2 years off your career.
Correct. But you know what? I loved it.
Yeah.
And he's one of the best, friendliest guys I've ever met. Tough as nails, we all know that.
Yeah.
But best heart. best heart. I think one of the best hearts I've ever seen in anybody. And then we know he's done mistakes. He's done. We've all done it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I tell you what, if you asked him for help, if he could help you, he would.
Yeah,
he really would. He's a genuine.
Yeah,
person.
and that's really how you need to measure people these days. People measure it on mistakes, and it's like, well, everyone makes them. It's just that if you make a mistake, people know about it because you're in the public eye. Correct. If I make a mistake, no one knows about it.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen the documentary on TV with him and Merce.
Yeah.
And Harry's Heroes.
Yeah.
A lot that for me was emotional. Seeing Merce and Razor go at it a little bit. Razor couldn't accept what Merce was saying, but Merce was right, and Merce has been down that road himself. So how can he ever go at Razor?
Yeah.
I could watch all that, and it was really making me emotional.
Yeah.
Because probably all of us have been that person.
Yeah, and you know the people behind it as well, don't you?
Correct. Yeah. We all know each other and who's got help. And even out of watching that, you see what Lee Henry come out and talked about.
Yeah.
For example, if you've seen the show, stuff like what Lee opened up about. Obviously Lee's got a nice career with Sky and whatever he's doing. Yeah. I'm really pleased that Lee's doing well. Lee Henry, that is I'm talking about, because when he opened up about that, it was emotional to watch.
I think that shows strength, though, doesn't it?
It does.
And in this day and age, it's happening more, isn't it? And there's that whole kind of thing. You go back 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Blokes don't say anything, and you just get on with it, and that's the way it is, and that's okay. But at some point, you need to speak up because things get too much for everyone, don't they?
Because that's when I think, did Vinnie Jones come in and say something on that? I think he did.
Yeah.
I think Vinnie came in and said something.
Yeah.
And obviously, Vinnie's been through so much himself. I think when Lee said stuff to him, I think it might have just clicked to Lee.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes it comes
to be the littlest thing, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that for me is vital. If someone's really struggling, and then you just someone. I think if someone's got time of day, and trying to help you in any way, listen to what they're going to say.
Yeah.
There's too many people who are just not bothered in listening to it. Not actually listening to what they're saying.
Yeah, surface level chat, and it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I find myself all the time having them conversations with people, trying to improve them, trying to make them better.
Yeah.
But I think as a young lad, it was installed into me to try and help.
Yeah, I believe in it. I think if you're putting good stuff out there, then good stuff's going to... And you don't put it out to receive.
No.
But I think it does reciprocate when you put some good stuff out there, and it makes you feel good, makes you feel happier. That means that your closer circle, kids, family, partner, they're all happier because they know you're happier. You've probably influenced somebody to go and do something or whatever, and pretty much that's the reason why we do what we do in here.
Correct.
Because the following and the downloads and the views grow every episode, and it's like we're influencing more people because the chat is real. It's not just surface level stuff.
No.
We're talking. We've had people angry in tears in here, and all sorts, because it's genuine situations and things that are happening. But that's what people. That's the sort of stuff that people need to know, not social media. Bollocks with cars and all this shenanigans, and that's great.
Yeah,
fair enough. They've worked for it, but youngsters, sitting behind that green Lambo is probably 15 years of sacrifice and graft and ups and downs, and that's the sort of stuff people need to know.
Of course it is, and I'm a big believer in that. I really am.
Because you're measuring yourself against something that's not real.
Correct.
And that when I speak to my daughter and stuff like that, and I mention it quite a lot because it's that age, you're all over social media and they're measuring themselves against stuff that's just. I mean, there might be a few people in the UK and in the world that is their journey, and they've fallen into money or they've made it. Not everyone's Steve Jobs and not everybody's, Mark Zuckerberg that has that. And granted, there's a lot of work that's gone beyond all of that, but to create that idea or whatever and that concept, and then that looks after them for their whole life. Not everybody is fortunate enough to be in that position, so you're measuring yourself against something that's just not reality. Reality's here, and actually, you should be measuring yourself against you because you are you. And if you're shit, but you've improved a little bit, but that's a little bit below maybe where you think everyone else is, you're still going to feel like shit. But you should, but you're actually still improving.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
You should measure yourself against, your best version of yourself. If that improves a little bit, like what you were saying about learning different things and going through that process, that's what's important. Not fucking what car you're driving and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, but I think once you can realise that, you're not laughing, but that's kind of, it makes things much easier for you. Like, for example, I've simplified my life in many ways right throughout my career. I have now got rid of all the bad influences of people in my life. They've gone. Yeah. Because they had to go.
And is that what got you into things like, obviously I know that there was, it's well known obviously in your book, and you speak quite honestly about it, about like your different addiction in terms of like your gambling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Is that? Do you think was that what was happening at the time? I know you mentioned about kind of like drinking culture in football in the 90s. Was that kind of culture in the 90s? Was that something forced upon you? Was that something you found because of your addictive personality getting into stuff? Or
I don't think it was players trying to influence you to get on it all the time. Listen, they said, "Do you want a pint?" Of course, I was going to always say yeah. And I think generally sports people have an addictive personality. Yeah, it's my own opinion. Yeah, other people probably go, "I haven't got that," but I think you have got a little bit of that. Everyone's got a bit of that about them. To be fair with me, drink, going out, all this kind of stuff, partying. Yeah, I found it easy, and it didn't really affect me. People, I mean, I'm sure other people will say that differently.
But you didn't feel it, did it?
I didn't feel it, especially when I was playing. I'm not saying I'm going out the night before the game. You know what I'm saying? It's like I could wake up the next day and still feel the same. Yeah, I've been very fortunate on that. And people even say that to me to this day. You don't have hangovers, do you? Yeah. I mean, well, that's a good thing or a bad thing, to be honest, because maybe I've put away so many over the years that,
You're used to it or something, haven't they?
It could be. It's true. It's I've had mates who've drunk all their life and all of a sudden decide to stop and they become miserable. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. It's just what happens to certain people. And eventually they'll snap out of it and they'll just have a normal life.
So off the back of that then, when did you feel like the gambling situation got a little bit out of control? Because I read in your book and stuff that, you've done quite a bit of cash on that. Like a mil plus. And didn't you do like a couple of $100,000 on a horse?
Yeah. I mean, I'm laughing at it because I shouldn't be laughing. Yeah, and I think you laugh about stuff when you're embarrassed. I am like that. Yeah. I got involved with the horse racing. I had quite a few horses myself back then, and with another footballer, a guy called Gary Flitcroft at Blackburn. Okay, Gary was a great lad, and he still is, obviously. But we're still in contact, and I think we were both like that. Me and Gaz, we both like to punt, but we also both like to go
to each other on a bit as well.
Yeah, I suppose that was it. And going to the races was always a big thing for me. I loved going to the races. Yeah. I absolutely adored it. But then I knew what come with that was a drink. Yeah, and it was partying till probably a bit longer than what I should have. Then you got to get myself, because usually sometimes for me, for example, I'd be on a bus with all the lads going somewhere, and I end up making that bus. Yeah, because I'd end up staying out, or I'd end up going somewhere.
Team bus.
Yeah, team bus, or even just even like if I went now with just my mates locally, I wouldn't make that bus back. Yeah. I'd still be on an Uber, or I'd be getting a taxi back, or somehow I was getting back. I was always that person who stayed out a bit longer. I'm sure my wife.
Yeah, a little bit longer than what you need.
She'll still say this to this day, even though I don't do what I used to do. I'd still stay out and have a chat with someone. Yeah. And I'd maybe have a pint or two. Whereas back then, I could go missing for 2 or 3 days. Yeah. And that'd be normal for me. Yeah. But when you're playing football, it's quite difficult to get away with that. Yeah. But I'm no different to, I reckon, hundreds or thousands of people in that era. It's interesting when you listen back to people like Tony Adams talk about it, addiction. Yeah, I think his book's called Addicted or Addict, or isn't it? I was in Tony Adams' rehab clinic myself. I don't know, a lot of people know that. I went in there to sort myself out, and it really helped massively. And I think sometimes it's important to let out things to people that they might not, because I think it's embarrassing admitting that you've got an addiction. It can be embarrassing. You don't want people to know. Yeah. But then when you get over that, you go, you know what? I don't care. This is who I am.
You're focusing on yourself, really.
Yeah. That's the thing. And for the first time, you are. So because you're literally there, and you're trying to make you better for a change, not just everyone else. You're out of the loop. Then when you start that, you're on your own. Yeah. You're on your own path. You might be with some other people, but you're on your own journey. Yeah. And you're having your own chats with the people to make you better. Yeah. And I found that very rewarding, actually. And, huge thank you to Tony and the lads from Sporting Chance. Yeah. That's a lot of footballers, a lot of sports people. You probably don't see that. Yeah. But they help a lot of people then. And it's thanks to Tony and his team that, they sorted that out for people. Yeah. And, I know a lot of people have been through that system and found it rewarding. Yeah. Which is weird, because should you feel good about doing that? I don't know. It was a really hard thing to go through that.
Yeah, it must be quite personal. Like it's got to be personal to that person.
I think it is. Yeah, that's why.
But there must be a sense of feeling good about completing that process. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of your first step back in the right direction.
Yeah, and was he embarrassed? Again, I was really embarrassed to admit it. You know, it's hard to admit stuff in life.
Yeah.
I find it hard to admit. I mean, I'll say sorry all day. I feel like sometimes when you're in that world, I kept sorry. Like the missus like, "What are you saying sorry for?"
Yeah.
Actions speak louder than words, Dom. And I now get that.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Yeah.
And I think I had to go into that process with an open mind.
Quick word from one of our sponsors, Guru Technology. Simply put, they're the highest Google-rated company in their industry. A very different service and a very different set of products covering business-to-business mobiles, phone systems, energy, renewables and EV, security, CCTV, alarms, AMPR, broadband and IT. They specialise in dealing with companies who are receiving really poor service and spending a lot of money currently with their supplier. They will come to site, do a free of charge audit and fix any problems that you're having. So if you've got problems with your current supply chain, search Guru Technology in Google and give them a buzz. Thank you. Let's get back to the podcast.
And listen to what they had to tell me.
Yeah.
And I got so much from it.
Yeah.
Honestly. Even though after that, and I'll be brutally honest, I went back and had a drink.
Yeah.
But that was a lot further down the line.
Yeah.
And my drinking caught up with me again, and I stopped again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like sometimes you have to go through different parts of that kind of rehab sort of area to make you a better person. I mean,
it probably affects you at different times as well, depending on how you're feeling. And
I think as well, because I'm not moody.
Yeah.
I mean, other people might say I don't think I'm moody. So when I have a drink, I'm kind of life and soul, or I'm a different person.
Yeah.
But am I being the no one's perfect, but you know. Did I change a bit? I don't think I did.
Yeah.
But people say, "Bloody hell, Dom," you know. But maybe that was people's fear of me because I could go and have 25 pints and be fine.
Yeah.
It wouldn't affect me.
Yeah.
And I've met a lot of footballers, a lot of sports people who are the same. They can go and have 25, 30 pints and be fine. They won't even notice it. And we're talking a lot of numbers there on pints.
Yeah.
But not just pints. You know, when you have pints and you might have a brandy or whatever. That's just, and you go down that road, and it's different levels.
Easy roads to go down, though.
Yeah. And I think going there and starting the process has helped me. I even use things that I learned back then now.
Yeah.
And I think that's important to take, even though I completed the course, but I actually generally thought at one point I wasn't going to have another drink again.
Yeah.
But I did. But
even though you did, you've taken enough from it to make
I think so, to
bigger
make
changes.
Bigger changes, because, you know, some of the lads, I can't say who they were at different stages, we're all at different levels, and we're all at different addictions and all this, and so it's like we're all in the same boat, but we're all completely different.
Yeah, different timelines.
Different timelines, and different conversations. We never talked about personal stuff until we got in the group together, and maybe on our own.
Yeah,
this was just our own personal stuff, and that's why I don't share a lot of that, because that was the personal stuff.
Yeah,
admitting you have been in that position is big enough.
Yeah,
you don't have to say who you were in with.
Yeah, because
that's not important.
Yeah,
it's important that you get something out of it, and so do they.
Yeah,
and I think all the people I was in with did.
Yeah, you're taking strength from other people and yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I'm not ashamed of it.
Yeah,
and I was for a while, and now I'm not.
You shouldn't be, because it's part of the tapestry of your journey, of your life. At the end of the day,
it is. And you know, looking back on your history, because they mentioned a lot to me about where you're from, and obviously I didn't mention too much about looking for my birth mother and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they always kept saying to me, there'll be something that's triggered you. It might be a separation issue or something. Even though I had a great childhood, be something you don't even realise, but it's affecting you in a different way.
Yeah.
Which is
subconsciously.
Correct. That's it.
Complex when you look into all of it, isn't it?
It is. It really is. Yeah, but you know, I dusted myself down after that and bought a nightclub.
There you go. There you go. Oh, you got to throw yourself into it, haven't you? So you had a lot of high points of your career.
Yeah.
And a lot of really good experiences, like you mentioned as well. You obviously talked about that sort of challenging. What would you say is your sort of most challenging time or experience? Not necessarily football. Could be in or out of football.
I think well, obviously, listen, it's an obvious one to say now is obviously what I've been through recently.
Yeah.
But I still think parts of being in for drinking, and I think there's so many points I could mention, but I think when you have a near-death experience like I've had, that's where things hit home.
So tell me about that. So how did that all come about for people that don't know?
Yeah, so basically I was diagnosed with a brain tumour 2 and a bit years ago.
Yeah.
Literally doing Sky, working for Sky at that point, working for Liverpool TV as well at that point as well, probably doing a bit with Leeds as well.
Yeah.
Multitasking.
Yeah, you go.
Trying to get a few quid.
Us men can do it, can't we?
We try.
Give it a go.
Yeah, so, and then I just noticed the Soccer Saturday game, noticed like my eyesight had gone a bit funny, which is very unusual for me because anyone knows me, I'm always like, never had glasses.
Yeah.
And then obviously I got an eye test straight after that, 20/20 vision. I was like, this is weird. Just didn't quite feel myself. Still went and worked. Then I did the Man City Liverpool game at Man City for a foreign network. And then the next week, I'm trying to think who we played. I was doing Soccer Saturday again. I think it was Middlesbrough away. Did the game, come back again, and then I was doing something else for Liverpool TV the next day after Sky.
Yeah.
And that's where I felt a bit confused.
Yeah.
The confusion started.
Yeah.
Which is the best way of describing it, really.
Yeah.
Because I went from, I can't remember things. I can't. What's going on? It felt like something was happening to me.
Yeah.
But I couldn't put my finger on it.
Yeah.
And the first probably time I realised something maybe not quite right is I banged my car, which doesn't happen with me. Because I said to you,
had a crash.
Yeah, but not crash. It was just like
backed into something.
Just the wheel arch just went and it popped.
Yeah.
So luckily I wasn't too far from home. The missus said, "I'll get that sorted. You get yourself to work, back to working." So I did. So I took her car, and she had to then get the puncture sorted and sort it out, which we did. Yeah. Come back after that, and I suppose I was meant to be flying to, I think it was Singapore, to do the Legends game at Liverpool.
Yeah.
Which I love doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that was part of...
I've seen a couple of Legends games. They're brilliant.
They're great fun. And I really wanted to go. But the wife said, listen, there's been a cancellation at your local surgery for a health check. And the doctor said, Dominic, we've never seen you since you came out of football. And it's the truth. The only time I ever went to the doctors when I was playing for whatever team I was at, because you always had a club doctor on hand.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen you. And we know you've had a few issues of late, so we're just going to have a quick check. So they sent me for a full scan malarkey. Yeah. And as soon as I got into the hospital, and this is how bad I was, I thought I was in Leeds Hospital. I was in Calderdale. It's about 20 minutes away from Leeds.
Yeah.
A bit more, maybe. So, for me, thinking that straight away, and I'd driven there. I got a taxi there.
Yeah.
I don't even remember getting that taxi there. So I got a taxi, which, again, the wife's like, why are you not just driving back? But there was something
you must have thought something's not right.
Yeah, that's it. And I literally got myself into the hospital, went for my scan, and as soon as I went in for my scan, literally, they'd been scanning me for about not even a minute, and they just pulled me out straight away. And they found a huge mass in my brain.
Yeah.
And obviously, I didn't know this was going on. So I remember the only words I remember him saying is, "Do not go anywhere." The radiologist said, "Stay here. Do not go anywhere." So what did I do? Just went on a wander, because at that point I didn't know what day it was.
Yeah,
I'd literally lost the plot.
Yeah.
When I say that, I could show you the pictures. I had lost the plot. My wife's sister, they took pictures of me just to show me. Because they're hoping, obviously, I would recover, which I did, because just to show where I was at different stages. So it wasn't like pictures I was going to put online or anything.
Personal.
Yeah,
for you. Yeah.
And even my sister-in-law says to me, said, "It's the only time you've ever given me a cuddle." And I went, "Well, I obviously can't remember that one." She said, "Yeah, you said you were in bed with me." I was like, "Was I?" Because I literally didn't know what day it was.
Yeah.
And that was the start of then basically, got like blue lighted straight to the hospital. The wife's on her way, trying to get there in time.
Yeah.
And she wanted to get there before it was too late, because that's the situation I was in.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that because of the pressure it was given on your brain?
My brain was just so much. Then obviously they decided straight away they didn't decide straight away because they thought they were going to plan an operation.
Right.
But because I deteriorated so quickly.
Yeah. And can you remember any of this at this point? Or is this sort of other people saying what's happening?
This is basically the wife remembering, because because obviously, listen, I was...
So there wasn't a moment where the doctor sort of turned around to you that you can remember and said, "Dom, you've got a brain tumour."
No. And that's the weird thing about it, is because I know so much about it, I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think as well, you don't want to over-talk it. It's like, I don't mind talking about it at all. Yeah. But it's like sometimes the wife wouldn't like to hear it again.
Yeah.
It's like,
of course.
Even though we're writing a
Bringing
book,
back the memories.
but we're writing a book at the minute, me and the missus.
Okay.
Just me and her, the last 2 years of our life.
Nice.
So it's important that comes across well as well.
Yeah.
About that journey, because when something like this happens to you and the effects it has on you, I think with brain tumours, there's not a lot of help out there. I think it's 1% we get from the government for all of us. Yeah. It's not enough.
Yeah.
And it's no disrespect to any other cancers. Some of them are getting 80% support. And rightly so as well.
Yeah.
But, I think sometimes with brain tumour, we get, because if it is cancerous, which mine is, then more likelihood is you're not going to live that long.
Yeah.
And that's hard to take for any person. I don't care how strong your mindset is.
When did you know that was the case? So you can't remember the time where they sort of said this is what's going on, because you were out of that. Yeah. Can you remember the time where what was the scenario when they told you it was
the wife collapsed,
cancerous and stuff like that? Because you had it very rare, wasn't it? There's only a couple of people in Europe, from what I read, that actually had.
It's true.
Yeah.
So basically, they call it like a crisis meeting.
Right.
So you go through your surgery, and then you get into the kind of rehabilitation. So I had me oncologist, Professor Shaw. I had my surgeon, Ryan Matteo, and then you have the nurse with you.
Yeah.
The cancer nurse.
Yeah.
Because they come with you. So you have great support. I knew this was going to be tougher for Jess than it would be for me.
So all your family are in that meeting? Well, no, just yourself and your wife, yeah?
Just me and the wife. And Jess, God bless her, had a panic attack as soon as we went in. And as soon as they told us the extent of it. Because at that point, stage 4 cancer.
Yeah.
Because we didn't really know about it because it was so rare. That's what we did.
Yeah.
So the first bit of information was, you've got stage 4 cancer. It's not good. It's not looking good. Prognosis is this. But they didn't really say you've got 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. I don't remember hearing that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I did at some point. And I think anyone hearing that, it's a tough pill to swallow, as you can imagine. But I was kind of, from day dot, I thought, I've got to put a positive spin in this. Not for me. This was for my wife. And then, as I mentioned, she had that panic attack right in front of my eyes at the hospital. And the nurse had to come and sort her, because I was trying to, but the nurse obviously knew how to do it better than me. But a panic attack as well, it's a horrible thing. I've never had one. And to watch the wife go through that because of something that's happened to me, it was horrible. It was evil. It was horrible. She didn't deserve that. And I felt, I'm not guilty, because you can't be feeling guilty for that. But, again, she didn't need that stress.
Yeah.
But, she had to go through that. And that was horrible to watch, your wife in that position. And I think then when they tell you, listen, it's not a curable thing, that's a hard thing to take again.
Yeah.
So sometimes when you go into this meeting, unless it's gone, and then you go, that sounds. But when you start where I started, that was never going to be the case. So it felt like every conversation you had was never that positive.
Yeah.
Even though they were so amazing, all them people amazing. They they could see my wife was struggling. They could see I was probably a bit the stronger one at that point.
Yeah.
So I kind of took that on board to be the bigger, not the bigger person, just look after her, make sure for her, and make sure she's okay. And you've just been told that news, but it's not just you; it affects everyone.
Yeah,
it affects all of us. That news straight away affects everyone, and then having to tell everyone now alongside it, you're living with that. It's just like, gosh, all right. How do I tell my kids? How do I tell, how do I do this?
Different ages and
it's really, not the conversation I ever thought I'd be having.
Yeah.
And when I speak to people in that position, they're all the same. It's like, we never want to have that conversation. No one wants to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was in it.
So how did you kind of deal with that yourself? Because the reason why I ask is there's a lot of people that I know from speaking to them individually, and also people that have reached out since you started doing the podcast that have had, or they have, or whether it's bad news of a relative with something, or themselves, or someone they know, a friend, or whatever it is, but have that tough news taken. How did you kind of cope? Because you come across as a very positive, resilient guy. Even before you coming in today, with some of the messages that we've exchanged and stuff. You seem like a really great personality and all that stuff. How have you dealt with that?
The best I could, to the best way I knew how, and I'm still learning to this day. You learn as you go with cancer.
Yeah,
it's not a nice word. When you hear that word straight away, it's like 1 in 2 people get cancer.
It's crazy, isn't it?
I mean, that's bonkers when you think about it. And that's not me scaring people. It's just a reality for people to. If you're not getting checked or you're not doing the things, look at your life, look at what you're trying to do.
Yeah. And where is everything now in terms of that? In terms of health now for you?
Obviously, I can't drive.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you guys have sorted that out for me today, which is great. So that was the first start of the bad news, because the driving thing's massive to the kids and family and all that.
Yeah.
And the wives have to take that on board again. So again, think about the missus again.
Reliance, isn't it?
Yeah. So then I can't read, can't write, lost my eyesight this side. So it's like they're the hard yards then, when you've got to relearn all these things. Try and get you to a position where I'm getting better. But I think when I first started, there was some weaknesses within me, some frailties that I didn't think I had.
What stuff like?
I think just mentally, which obviously I'm a pretty resilient person, I think, in the way I've approached stuff. But there was days where you didn't know what to do. So my friend Jason, one of my really close mates, said, "What can I do for you? What can I do to help, Dom?" And this is a real close friend. There was Jason and there was a mate, Shorty. They were in hospital with me all the time, and Jason must have been thinking, "What can I do to help here?" And he's still that ice today, my mate Jay. So if you're listening, Jay, thank you, because it made me emotional talking, because he got me a life coach straight away.
Okay.
And that's I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit.
It's all right.
Because I didn't think anyone would ever do that for me.
Yeah.
Because giving me money or something wouldn't have been the right thing with me.
Yeah.
But to get me a life coach who made such a difference on me, and he paid for that for as long as I wanted it.
Yeah.
But I got to 12 months and I thought, I'm okay now.
Yeah.
I can deal with what I need to deal with. And then you got a life coach a guy called Rob Latty, and we're still in contact every now and again. We don't need to touch base. If I need to, we can have a 5-minute conversation.
Yeah.
But I think getting the life coach and Jason sorting that for me has made a huge
difference.
And me, and for my wife, because she spoke to the wife as well, the life coach, because that's important as well. You can't just it's not just me here that's going through. Everyone's
everyone's connected with it.
Yeah.
Everyone,
So that was the start of me finding my feet again.
Yeah.
Through that life coach.
So for people going through something similar, if we're specifically talking about the work that you're doing with raising the awareness around brain tumour charities and stuff like that, and for people going through tough, whatever it is, because everyone's got a personal thing that's tough. It could be something completely that you'd look at it and think it's meaningless to one other person, but the toughest time for them as such. For someone going through that, what would be your kind of couple of little nuggets of advice to those people? Because people watching and listen to this, there'll be hundreds of people plus that will be in a position where they're struggling with something? And what would be given your experience, what would be your advice to them?
Ask for help. Ask for help, 1,000,000%. No matter what person it is, ask for help. Start somewhere with asking, because what I wasn't good at was asking for help. I've always been the person who give people help.
Yeah.
So now I've started asking for help on certain things.
Yeah.
And I think if people are in that position, ask for help. Sort your diet out. Sort your lifestyle out. That's the 3 things. Apart from that, crack on.
And what Jay's done for you is rather than you asking for the help, he's known, because he's close to you, that you needed the help, giving you that lifeline, and then that's been the catalyst in turning the corner for you.
And now, obviously, with my foundation ahead of the game, with a guy called Dave Bolton. If you research Dave and what we're trying to achieve at the moment, it's incredible. We're helping a lot of people with really bad illnesses.
So talk about that, because that's what I wanted to. I know you do a lot of sort of awareness raising, and you're ambassadors for different things and stuff. So what are you doing in that area at the moment that people need to know about?
So I'm ambassador for the Leeds Hospital, the hospital that saved my life, and the surgeon. So what we're doing with the hospital is we're trying to give kids a bit more support. So when the kids are really ill in hospital, they get a bit of extra support.
Yeah.
And also for the nurses, they get a bit more time, and maybe the room's a bit nicer rather than sitting somewhere on the floor where you've got to eat your dinner. These people are saving lives. They shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing we've been doing with the hospital, and I'm really proud of that, to become an ambassador for Leeds Hospital. It's a real big moment for me, that. And after that, obviously back working with Leeds United, doing what I wanted to do, football again, has really been a catalyst for me as well. And a huge thank you to Leeds United for that, because without them giving me that support and work, I would have been struggling. There's no two ways about it.
So what are you kind of doing with Leeds then?
Whatever they want. I'll do anything they ask me. So from match day stuff to TV to the radio, whatever they need me to do, I'll just do it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm comfortable doing.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the next side of that is helping people who are in similar positions and giving them advice. That's not, I wouldn't say a daily basis, but I get conversations all the day. People ring me on social media and whatever, and it's just literally, like you said, them small nuggets of just speaking to someone for 10 minutes.
It makes a massive difference.
It does make a difference.
That could be the difference of them turning the corner like you turn the corner with your mate.
For sure. That is absolutely so true. It's like having that 5-minute conversation with some of them, and I know they're struggling, but can tell by the way they speak.
Yeah.
I would have been speaking like this a bit, a couple of years ago. I'd been down. Now it's like you bring a bit more to your conversation.
Yeah.
Don't be so down on yourself all the time, because that's where you can get yourself into this mindset where you're on downer all the time. Yeah. Snap out of it. But what I'm trying to do is with people is basically give them their life back as much as we can.
Yeah.
In a way that's different and not conventional, really. But I suppose I tell people, if they ask me the question, what I actually put in my gob every morning.
Yeah.
The food that I have every morning, all the green sludge that nobody really wants to drink. But I tell you what, if you're not drinking it, start drinking it.
Yeah.
Because there's something in it.
Yeah.
And I tell all them people, crack on straight away on them green smoothies. People go, oh God, can't drink that.
I'll do a smoothie every morning, me and my partner.
Honestly, and whether you like it.
It's like routine now, though. It's like...
Exactly, get it down. Because if you think about it in the morning, I think the morning's the most important time for anyone who's in that position.
Yeah.
Because that's when I get all my goodness in. I get up in the morning, never feel great after the medication I've had. Get up, start my day fresh. Well, we go again, as I always say. It's one of my friends that we go again, and that's what I do. And a lot of my mates who know me, we always say that to each other. Come on, we go again.
Yeah.
If Leeds have had a bad result, we go again. It's like
Liverpool, the team does the same, doesn't it? Crikey,
yeah, and that's how it works. And that's how I approach things. So. Yeah, the head of the game now for me is going to be really important. Obviously, working with Dave Bolton, it was his baby, and I've jumped in with him to do it.
Yeah,
because he's had. Dave's, like you say, if you just Google Dave Bolton, that's all I need to say. It'll just tell you all about the man, the person.
Well, mate, when this goes out, we'll make sure that we share all that stuff.
I tell you what, if you ever want a person to interview, I'd put him top of the list.
Yeah,
this guy is a machine.
Yeah.
He is, 7 years down the line, with the toughest brain cancer, and he's still bouncing. God bless. He's like when you meet your heroes, but he's a mate now. You know what I mean? It's like he inspires me. This guy.
Yeah.
He can't not but help but inspire you. He'll inspire someone every day of his life.
Yeah. What a gift to have.
What a gift.
But I think when you think about it, everybody can do that. Everyone's got the ability to do that.
Of course.
Just from conversations and
that's it. And I find that easier now. And if I'm having a bad day, day's my first port of call.
Yeah.
He'll go, what's up with you? Bit of headaches. What? Headache? Get on with it. Go for a walk. Go and do something. Get yourself out of the house.
Yeah.
And it's small stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, everyone needs a kick every now and again. You can't be self-sufficient all the time. Everyone does need it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I suppose in a way for the wife now as well, because she's hugely important in all these things I'm saying, that now I'm pretty self-sufficient.
Yeah.
I can go and do like shopping-wise, I can go and get what I need to get. Even though if you ask me to go and get a meal deal, it'll probably cost me 40 quid. It should be £3.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just trying to improve all them little things that I could once do very easily. Now it's
relearning the reading,
relearning all that. So it's all still a process. And listen, it's not easy. Anyone who's in that position, it's hard because when to lose all your cognitive skills, is that the right word?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to process where you start.
Yeah.
So
it's stuff that when you've started, it's kind of like you see me as it's automatic because you've been learning it since you come out. You know, you've been learning it from such a young age.
Yeah,
you've developed that without even thinking about developing it. Correct. So it's kind of that must be weird. Yeah. Like, where do you draw the line? Where do you start learning again?
That's it. But I think because I've always got a sport mentality in my head, so in sport you find a way.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like I've carried that into my health now.
Yeah,
you find a way. I don't neglect the things that are important. I do them. Listen, honestly, sometimes I'll have 3 smoothies.
Yeah.
And people are like, 3? Like, I can't even drink half of one. Because some days I just feel so good about myself. I'm just going to get as much good down. In a way, I have to hold myself back because I'm going to do another one.
Yeah.
But that's the addictive side of me again.
Yeah.
Because I want to get better, I want to improve.
Yeah.
And then now I've got a pretty much routine set in stone.
Yeah.
And then maybe at the weekends, for example, nowadays, me and the missus might go for a few beers.
Yeah.
A bit of something to eat. So it's bringing that life back from being at home. But
got to have the balance, haven't you?
No, but I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't living.
Yeah.
I wasn't living because I was probably struggling a bit.
Yeah.
But now I've got a bit of strength back. I need to live again.
Yeah.
And if I want to go for a pint, I go for one now. I don't feel guilty for it. I was feeling guilty about going out of the house and going for a pint. Now I'm not bothered. If I want to go for 1 pint, 5 pints, 6, I'll have them. As long as I don't take liberties on my body, then fine, I'm having it because I know I'm putting all the good stuff in the back.
Yeah.
Whereas back in the day, I wasn't putting any good stuff in me.
Down,
yeah. But now it's balanced, and I enjoy going for a pint now more than I ever have.
Yeah, but you've got your physical state, you've got your mental state, and you need to balance them both. You can't just look after you physically, because if I wanted to look after myself physically and get a ripping 8-pack with massive arms and big pecs and shoulders, I could do that if I wanted to, because I could go and meal prep every day, I could go to the gym every day. But that's not happiness to me.
No,
and I'll be miserable doing it because I don't want to live on boiled rice, chicken and broccoli. Correct. But what I might do is do a couple of bits of that a week, go to the gym 3 times a week, but I'll do it on my time when I'm in control and I want to do it. If I don't feel it one day, I might not do it, but I might do it the next day. As long as I get it done and I've got a balance, that is happier for me because I've got a more happier medium. But again, it's different for everyone, isn't it?
Yeah.
Some people love that commitment and they want that. You know what I mean?
Listen, I've spoke to a lot of my mates. They're all jumping on board in a way, not to my extent, but they're jumping on board. So it's helping others.
It's nice that you're having that influence.
Yeah, and it's like some of my mates who are as bonkers as me aren't drinking as much.
Yeah,
it's weird. I mean, some of them still are, don't get me wrong. But, you know, in a way, I can see it's making a difference to a few other people, which is the best feeling.
But I think by you telling your story in a certain way and being honest about it, like you've been today around certain things that are difficult, everybody takes strength from that. There's no losers there because you feel better, I feel better, everyone feels better, and people that are listening understand there's other people going through it. Yeah. And as well, you know, from someone like yourself who's been at an elite level in their profession, knowing that there's been struggles along the way, knowing that you've bounced back, knowing that there's a way back, knowing that you've been rock bottom and now you're doing better, and knowing that it's okay to wake up in a day and feel like shit, but it's also okay to wake up and have a good routine and have days that you feel good. Knowing all that stuff from people that maybe you'd look at and think, well, these guys must be happy every day.
Yeah,
they're doing this. They're professional football. We know that that's just not reality. I know what we said back at the start was that's just not reality.
Yeah.
But I think knowing and telling your story in a very honest manner is infectious to people, and people want to listen, want to understand it, and everybody will take something from it.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, there's no absolute plan you can follow with this.
Yeah.
There's not. But you can have a good go at having a plan.
Yeah, yeah.
And it will change.
Yeah.
Day to day, it does change. But in the main, I think having a plan's massively important.
Yeah.
Having things...
Gives you some sort of structure, doesn't it?
Yeah, it gives you that structure which I'd lost for so long.
Yeah.
And even before I got ill, my structures at times were all over the place.
Well, you mentioned it there, like your smoothies in the morning.
Yeah.
You mentioned before we come on and we went live, you mentioned about the the tuition sessions that you're getting X amount of times per week. Doing all that stuff. So you've got that structure there to give you what you need to feel good and keep moving forward in those ways. But then you're flexible enough where if you want, like you said, if you want to go pop over and see your daughter or your son, or you do something like you said at the weekend with your missus, you can do that.
That's it, and I'm lucky in a way. And but I must admit, without my friends and my family, and mates even locals who know me now in the village, they're all there helping me. Which I never thought I'd have.
But I think people can learn from that. Like when people are watching this now, and when it ends, or they end it or whatever, and they go about their normal day, why don't you spend the first 5 minutes of that day helping somebody else? Have a conversation, pick the phone up, send some messages. Do something positive.
Isn't it funny? It's like I walk my little boy to school every day, there and back.
Yeah, that's nice.
And you always try. I mean, I love that moment, them few moments.
Yeah,
I do. I really, really appreciate them more than ever now. It's like how many kids I walk up down that school and I say good morning to, heads down, on the phones, all this, and we've all been guilty of it.
Yeah, all done it. Yeah,
but I tell you what a better place is when we're all like, morning, how are you? How's things? How's the family? That just way of life for me. It's a better place to be than everyone on the phones. And you might be taking a call, whatever, but I think it's better. Me and my son walk. My son he's not allowed to take his phone to school.
Yeah,
we walk to school. We walk back. We talk.
Yeah,
my son's actually opened up to me, asked me conversations. He asked me about football.
Yeah, he wouldn't have done that if he'd have had the phone, probably.
No, and he asked me about how I am now, which is weird for my 9-year-old because my little boy Luca. And we've got Ellen and Louisa. They're all very caring kids, all three of them. I'm very lucky to have kids who, tell me they love me every day.
Yeah.
And obviously, because I see the most of Luca, them little conversations, he knows I've not been well.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know to what extent.
Yeah,
and I don't tell him that. I'm not going to scare any of my kids.
Yeah.
The elder ones will know a little bit more. But
strangely awareness younger kids have got, though, isn't it?
It is. He knows something. I mean, listen, when you're in hospital for the length of time I was in, he knows something wasn't right. He's not daft. But I ain't going to scare that kid ever. That's not what I want to do. And even when I talk about it to people, I ain't doing it to scare people.
Yeah.
It's a reality check for a lot of people. You either want to try and get better or you don't. But also, like you mentioned, if I want to have a pint, I'll have one.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, and even my oncologist, and they might say, well, sometimes it's better to have a little bit of that than not have it at all because you need something.
Restrictive, isn't
it? I feel... I didn't like that feeling.
It's putting you in a straitjacket to a degree, isn't it?
Yeah,
I like what you said about the phone thing and about your son, because every week, I mean, if I go back to my mid-20s, I'd work all the time and I'd probably, lost a marriage to it, probably lost some time with my daughter at the time that, I can't get back. I mean, we've got a great relationship now, it's all good, but, when I look back, I've probably wasted a lot of time chasing something that actually, when you look at it, not that important, but you especially as a bloke, your head's down, you're trying to provide, doing your bit.
Yeah.
But every week now, I take my son swimming.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much one of the only times in the week for that 45 minutes that my phone goes on airplane mode, and every other parent's on it. But I don't swim myself.
Yeah.
I want to watch him swim.
Yeah.
So it's two things for me. It's one, that's my time with him.
Yeah.
And that's it. And two, whatever can wait 45 minutes. And number two, I can see all these other parents on the phones. I'm like, you never know when that's being horrible, but you never know when you're not going to be able to be here. So you should really be, watching them. And
I think because the wife's done so much for me, I want her to have a lie-in.
Yeah.
I want to do that school run.
Yeah.
I want to do it, but I actually generally want to do it for myself and
I enjoy it. Yeah.
I love it. Once you get up and you get going in the morning, early doors, it's the best time of the day.
Yeah.
And that, like you say, the moments with my little boy Luca, and even with Ellen and Louisa and the other kids, it's so nice sometimes just to have them moments where, I cling on to them now because of my situation.
Yeah.
And I feel it. I could get myself.
Yeah, they're special moments. Yeah.
Every day for me is a bonus.
Yeah.
I say that, and I mean it. Every day's different. Every day's a bonus being here.
Yeah.
I don't know what's around the corner. None of us do. Let's be honest. None of us do know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, while I'm here, I'm going to try and make a difference. And that's why when you go back to ahead of the game and the brain tumour charity, which I do a lot with, I raise a lot of money for certain charities, and I do my best to them. We knew there was a little girl that wasn't very well. She was in Leeds, so I said to the missus, "Let's buy some tickets and let's go and support her." And the club, it was at Leeds United. I didn't know it was there, otherwise I would have been there anyway.
Yeah.
So when I found out about it, I thought, right, what can I do? So what can I do? I can go and get one of my shirts. I can sign it up, frame it, and take it in and sell it on the auction.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. And just for me going in, they were getting like 600 quid for shirts, 600, 800 quids. So I pop up, and mine was a bit of because they didn't know I was coming.
Yeah.
Oh, Don Matteo's bringing a shirt in. It's in Leeds, perfect audience. It went for four and a bit grand.
Yeah.
So then you can understand the influence that I might have at times. But it's not me being flash or anything like that.
Yeah, you've done it for the right reasons.
That money, every single penny of that, I guarantee you, went to that little girl.
Yeah.
Every single penny.
Yeah.
I didn't take a penny of it. It was one of my shirts. I signed it. I messaged whatever they wanted on it.
Yeah.
And the guy who bought it, actually, later on that night, had it on.
Yeah.
We were dancing around together. It's just like, sometimes them small things to me are the most important now.
Yeah.
And I'd rather give than receive, as he say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to say for a man, that, but it's but it's true.
Yeah.
And that kind of stuff is something I will do till the end of the day and my days. I will help as many as I can. I really mean that.
Yeah.
And isn't it bizarre as well? More people now ask me about long lost family, my recovery. What do I do to recover from that? Then maybe the football side of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the more powerful side of it, though.
I think
People think they know the football side because they see it, don't they?
Yeah. But it's being, I suppose...
And it's real stuff. Like, not that the football isn't, but
a
lot of people don't experience that because it's a 1 in a million shot to be able to go and play and play for Liverpool or play in a semi-final of a Champions League.
Exactly.
By the way, good header.
Yeah.
Solid. I remember that game.
But if you think about it, though, when I got interviewed by Jurgen Klopp and James Milner, I don't forget that.
Yeah.
I forget that because I took so much from it.
Yeah, and now you're here with me.
Well, no, and you're better, obviously. You're better than... Well, come on, I'm not sure if you're better than Jurgen. Come on.
No, I'll take that.
But do you know when you sit down with Jurgen Klopp and James Milner, I know it was on Zoom, it should have been live, but obviously because of COVID, I still remember what they said to me personally.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Yeah.
No, for no one else.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell my mates what Jurgen said to me. Because I know and it's in there now.
Yeah. It's a special moment,
Gosh, got me. Got the wife. The wife was in tears. And what I liked about what Jurgen did straight away was, where's the boss? And obviously talking about my wife.
Yeah. He understands the value.
And he went, where's the star of the show? That's what he said.
Yeah.
And for me, that got me. I've got goosebumps talking about that.
Yeah.
Because she is the star of the show.
Yeah.
Whichever way I look at it.
Yeah.
And Jurgen got that.
Yeah.
And then what Millie said to me as well, around the back of that, was something very similar, something very personable. And it meant a lot.
Yeah.
And it kept, and things like that I'll keep in there.
Yeah.
Some days I can't remember out.
Yeah.
But I don't forget stuff like that.
Yeah.
My dad's written something down for me, which I can't read at the moment, but I'm getting there. And it's kind of about just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing. You'll get there. You'll achieve it in the end. You'll achieve what you wanted to achieve. And it's a strong message, that.
Yeah.
And I will read that out at some point. I'm determined to read it out.
That's the goal, yeah.
It is the goal.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to do. Set yourself a few.
Yeah.
We're all sat around doing nothing at times. Give yourself a goal. Say to someone, I'm going to run 5K this weekend. I'm involved. I help with a charity, which is a great one. It's called Recovery Runners. People with addiction problems. 2 lads from Leeds set it up. Brilliant lads. Salt of the earth. Had addiction problems. Own it. They own it now.
Yeah.
They absolutely own it. We go in. I was involved with them, helped them set it up, and I had a chat with all the people in there. What a setup that is. Just little things like that. What different people are doing to help other people.
Yeah.
They're not
but I think that's something off the back of this. If everybody that listens and watches this has that attitude to something, and it doesn't necessarily mean you need to go and do something grandiose and set something up, but just a conversation. That could spur, like your biggest turning point was a conversation with your mate to give you that lifeline, and now look at what you're doing, giving back and doing all this great stuff that you mentioned about. Why can't everyone listening to this, when they listen and watch it, spend the next 10, 15 minutes and just do something positive? Well, like what a powerful position, and if that can become addictive, and that's the thing, you give more, it's good. You know, you get a positive feeling because of it, not because you get something back, because you know you're helping people. If that's then the mantra, and that's then part of your day, same as just doubling up on smoothies or your lessons and whatever you're doing. If that can become part of your mentality every day, what a great person you are. And if you've got a group of people around you doing that, then it branches out a lot, and you make a big difference.
Right. It's funny because the wife always laughs because I don't like calling them the oldies, but they're a bit older than me sometimes. So I go into like tea rooms and stuff, and have a bit of chit chat with the older generation, and they're so lovely. You know, how's your day been? What's going on? They all know my situation and all this. Always asking how I'm doing, how's the family, the kids, and all this kind of stuff. And I love that kind of chit chat. And they're always honest. Yeah, they're always honest with you. So they know when I go in, they know exactly what I'm going to have to eat because I never change. Yeah. In the morning, which is an oat milk latte. Yeah. And I'll have my omelette with mushrooms, and that's about it, really. Yeah. And then I'll have a glass of water. And then I'm crack on for the day. And they see me come in, and even the girls and the boys who work there, they're the same. They know exactly what I'm going to order before I order it, because I order the same thing every week, every day. And people might say, it's just my thing now. Yeah. You know, it might not be an omelette, it might be poached eggs on toast next time. But, you know, every day, get up. And I do believe you start the morning that way and then follow up with a good breakfast and a healthy one. Yeah. Your day is so much better. Yeah. From the days that I've just mentioned. Where
things that are in your head, or as long as it's physical, you're putting good stuff into your body, but it's also a positive mentality that's how you want to start your day now, because you've started it probably not as good as that for a number of years in the past. That's going to make you feel good, and naturally, if you feel good, you're going to infect everybody else with a bit of that, and that's good. That's good.
It was actually positive. It's like I was chatting to a guy. Day was it now? Thursday or Friday last week. I didn't know he'd had cancer. This guy didn't know. You know, but obviously he drinks in the same places near where my wife works. So I was chatting to him, and he started telling me his story, and I was like, didn't know. Couldn't have told. He says, I've been for tests and all this all the time. I was just like, didn't know that, mate. But you know what? I don't think he would have shared that unless he knew my situation. Yeah. But I said to him, you should be opening up to people, because what you just told me was inspiring me. Yeah. That you just cracked on, you're living your life. At the moment, you're in great health. You have to have your scans regular or your blood tests regular. So you've inspired me there. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like them little small conversations. And we only had a couple of pints.
But you've got to be open to having them, haven't you?
Yeah, you've got to be open.
That's the change, I think.
This guy would come to me and say that. Yeah. Because usually we're saying, how are you? Yeah. And then when I go, oh, by the way, how are you? Yeah. That was a game changer. Yeah. And that's what we've all got to do. We've got to ask how they are. Yeah. And I think sometimes when you've been in a position like myself, people are always asking about you. You should be asking about how they are. Yeah. And that's what I need to get better at. Ask, how are you? Never mind, how am I? Yeah. How are you?
Yeah, because you're creating that environment then to have that conversation. Like we said before, it's that surface level chat that probably don't mean a lot versus something that's a little bit more meaningful. Yes. And you can actually get, both people get something good out of, don't they?
And then, I know, even though I see him quite a bit in there, because my wife's obviously got work there, I know our relationship will grow from that conversation, because he opened up a little bit. Yeah. And I think for men, it's massive that, because we are a bit, we keep ourselves
closed off. Yeah,
we are, and all the stuff that's been going out there at the minute in the world, you've just got to be true to yourself, and also, like you say, I think the most inspiring thing that I like at the moment is kids being outdoors at the minute, because I see it all the time, because the weather's been good. Yeah, so kids are out. That's what I want. I want to listen. I'll never change. I don't want to change people's lives, but if you can get outside I'd rather my kids be outside playing, doing what they're even if they're making a mess.
Yeah.
And I'm the tidiest person ever. I am, believe me. Like OCD style. I'm like tidy.
Yeah.
People don't think that, but ask the missus, have a nightmare. Someone makes a mess, I'm tidying it up straight away.
Yeah.
I like it to be clean, not washing my hands all the time and all that. Not to that extent, but I'm just but that comes from being a footballer.
Yeah,
it certainly does. But I can't think what I'm saying. Then.
You want to encourage people to get outdoors.
So that's the thing, and I've even said to my little boy, if you want to be serious about your football, you've got to be outside, and not just me passing the ball with you. You've got to do it on your own.
Yeah,
that's what you've got to do. And kids who are sat on the PlayStations all the time, nothing wrong with that. But I tell you what, if you've got kids doing it for 4, 5, 6 hours, and I've let mine do it when I was struggling a bit because it was easy.
Yeah.
But we should be better at that. We've got to be more. Firm's a word. You know what? You can have an hour online, playing with your mates, doing what you want. After that, go outside and play. Yeah. If it's football you're interested in, or it's rugby, or whatever it might be, go and do something. Because I think that's the way that the world will change slightly if we can get people doing more things outside. And I know we live in a place where the weather's not great, but I don't think that's an excuse.
Listen, I think some of the best times I remember from my childhood were when the rain was pissing down and I was with my mates doing X, Y, and Z. So it's one of them, and I think that it improves your physical and your mental well-being to be outside rather than inside most of the time.
You can listen, for prime example, I see my little boy. He's online all the time. He's narky. I'm like, what are you being narky for? What's up with you? Come on. Why don't you go and play with your mates outside? Oh no, I'm on a game, playing a game.
Yeah.
He's not going to go at him. He's entitled to go. But I think sometimes if you take your finger off the pulse and you don't look into what they're doing, that's when the issues happen there as well. Yeah,
you can get into a cycle there quite quickly.
And that's one thing I'm really passionate about now. And I was one of those kids. Listen, if we're going on a holiday and he wants to watch his iPad while we're travelling, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm the one who'd say do that. Even on holiday, I'll let him have his iPad because we want to have a nice meal.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like giving and take.
It's just balance, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think that happens as much as it should. No. Some of my mates won't let the kids do anything online while they're eating. But I'm not quite that strict.
Yeah, it's personable for everybody at the end of the day, isn't it?
But the point I'm trying to put across is basically I want kids to be out more.
Yeah.
Because the well-being is so important, is of just being outside, fresh air. Listen, in Yorkshire, I know it's different you're up south or down. Well,
yeah, we're down.
Yeah, you're down.
Unfortunately,
I see a difference in the water.
Yeah,
I know that sounds really random. The water in Yorkshire is unbelievable.
Yeah,
you don't need a filter on that water.
Yeah.
But in different parts of the country you do. So I'm really lucky where I am as well.
Yeah,
it's really good, and obviously
I think people should get out a little bit more.
Don't you think? I mean, listen, that's just. I know when weather's like this. I mean, at the moment it's probably too hot.
Yeah, that's the Brittanness, isn't it? It's it's never perfect, is it?
But people are moaning all the time.
Too hot or too cold?
It's too hot. It's too cold. Can't we just have a bit of an hour in the sun, then maybe just put your hat on for half an hour afterwards? Don't burn. All them little bits and pieces. I mean, I was the worst. Me. Won't put any lotion on. Yeah. I just go like a lobster.
Yeah.
Whereas my wife, say Luca, for example, my little boy, they just go tan like that instantly.
Yeah, man, I've never tanned in my life.
No, I'm the same.
Never tanned in my life.
I'm the same.
I'm ginger at heart, so never tanned in my life, mate. Listen, I think you've covered so many things in there. There's going to be so many takeaways for people listening to it. Like I said to you halfway through or before, I can't remember, but I've learned a lot of stuff from you in terms of your outlook on life, positivity, routine, resiliency, and just how you're bouncing back from some, arguably there's some stuff in there that's some of the hardest things you'll ever go through, and you're still fighting on, still being positive, and actually you're turning that into something really positive, moving forward with some of your work you're doing with the charity stuff and whatever. And I think, look, we'll get all of that information from you as well.
Perfect.
And we'll get that shared around as much as we can when the pod goes out. And we'll just get it out everywhere, because the more people that can touch, the better. And if we can help you a little bit with that and a couple of % on that, then it's doing some good in it.
No, I really appreciate that. And you know what, like I said, I've really enjoyed coming over today, because it's just nice to let loose on a few things.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need to do it, don't you?
Yeah, and I feel like a bit, just like sometimes like I've let someone go again there. I've told some people something today they probably didn't know.
Yeah.
Which I think is important again.
Yeah.
It's like opening up a little bit.
Yeah.
So
and I get that every single time I walk out the room.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm lucky to have those conversations at the end of the day, which is good. So if somebody wants to reach out and talk to you about your journey, any of the work you're doing at the moment, and I know that you mentioned about the book that's coming out with you and your partner, which I think will be a really interesting.
It will be
concept really in terms of your both. I'm guessing it's going to be sort of both your views on what's gone on and stuff. Definitely be something that I'll have a look at as well. Where can people find you if they want to reach out?
Obviously, listen, Dom Matteo, simple as that. You'll find me on one of the social networks, or listen, or like LinkedIn or whatever. I'm on all them platforms. The wife looks after most of that at the minute, but I'm getting better. I'm trying to get better at all that kind of stuff. But listen. And like you say, don't be afraid to approach me on any of them platforms and ask for help if they need it. Because I'm open to help. If I can help one person, like I said, great. I can't always help everyone. That's the toughest thing about this work. At times is you can't help everyone. But you do your best to help as many as you can.
I think, mate, to be honest, one word that sums you up that I've got from today is sincere.
Yeah, I try to be.
When you talk and some of the things you say, I know that you mean it. Whereas you speak to some people sometimes and you think that's just stuff that they've reeled off 50,000 times to different people. There's an air of sincerity about what you say, truthfulness, honesty, and that as well as your journey, being what it is, and people taking from that. That's the reason why I wanted to get you on the podcast, because that's what we're all about. It's not about the surface level stuff. It's about the honesty, sincerity. Like we said, real people, real journeys, real story. People can actually get things from.
And also learning about your mistakes you've made, and totally owning it, own them.
And we all have it, don't we? We all do it.
Just own it. I've seen too many people not owning stuff. Just own it. Get I've made a mistake. Sorry, that's it. Done. I've
got one mistake. One mistake in here.
Go on.
No aircon. That's one mistake.
I know, I've got a bit of a dab on in here, but no, I really appreciate that. And like you say, great to come here and talk to you, and great to meet you at last. Obviously, we've talked a bit, so thank you, and I really appreciate it.
Thanks very much, mate.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Cheers.